You didn't quit, you just switched your addiction. An addiction is so real. It can not only ruin your life, but it can also ruin your relationships, your purpose, the reason why you're here. It can take away your family. It can do so much damage. And the reason why we get an addiction is because we want to escape this life. And I did it for such a long time. I did not want to be in the family that I chose. I looked at my family and I thought they all were crazy. I was like, what is this? Why am I here? And obviously as a child and even as a teenager, you can't leave. You can't run away for the most part. You really can't. And so in order for me to escape that, I would get an addiction in order to cope with the ridiculousness and the chaos that I was surrounded with. And as children, we're not really taught to sit with what is coming up for us, to feel the pain. We're taught to survive, right? Even children, it's a natural coping mechanism when a child, and I know we're going a little bit, this is getting a little bit dark real quick, but I just have to give this example. But when a child is getting, let's say, raped or molested, a child knows that in order for me to protect myself and stay safe, I cannot yell. I cannot tell people, well, for the most part, kids don't usually even think anything bad is happening because they probably think this is normal. This is what everybody goes through. I mean, I'm not saying every kid thinks that, but I mean, just from my example, I as well got abused as a child. And while it was happening, I did not have any clue what was actually happening, because as a child, you're so innocent, you're so pure. You would never think an adult would try to take advantage of you. And so it's so hard, it just makes me so sad for kids. But anyways, moving along, a lot of us, the way we parent our kids is stop crying. Why are you crying? Be strong. Like I actually heard it the other day, a father telling his child to stop crying because you have to be strong. Stop crying. Get over it. Like move on. And this is how this is how it starts. And again, this is not for me to blame anybody, but it's just for us to look and ask ourselves, is this what is going to help that child in that moment by suppressing what they truly feel and being strong, which by the way is not even the definition of strong. Just moving on and suppressing your emotions to me is weak. Somebody who's weak is really going to suppress their emotions and they're not going to be honest with themselves about how they truly feel. And just taking me for an example, I had so many different coping mechanisms which turned into an addiction. I was so attached to these ways of living, which in the end it costs you your sense of self, your self-worth, and your confidence. And one of the things, like I'll go through some of my addictions. One started with, I guess, okay, before I even say what it is, I want to give a little backstory. So when I was, I would say 14, I got a job at Tim Hortons, which is a huge franchise here in Canada. And so you get to throw out the donuts and Timbits. And so what most of us did at the age of 14, because you have to go home at 9 p.m. and you have to change and you need to go do your homework. And so instead of just going home and doing that, I grabbed 5 or 6 donuts every single night, and I would eat 5 or 6 donuts every single night while I was studying, and I was up till 2 or 3 a.m. And this became a habit, and so I ended up gaining weight. And then in order to lose the weight, because then I felt so out of place, I was like, this is not who I am. Look at everybody else. They look so amazing, and I'm here with the belly and whatever. And then I started not eating. I started living on Nutella and chocolate. I was like, forget about food because it's like it's making me gain weight. I'm gonna now start eating Nutella and chocolate, mostly Nutella, and sometimes not even eat dinner or breakfast or anything like that. And so this was my other side of the spectrum where I would go into eating a lot of food, binge eating, and then I would stop eating. And luckily, not luckily, this is all bad, but I never got into the habit of, it's bulimic, right? And so this began my loop of eating a lot of food and then starving, eating a lot of food and then starving. And this is how I lived for such a long time. And nobody knew about it because obviously, you just lie. You lie through your life as, that's what I did. I pretended, I ate, I did this and, but I never did. And so this is the tough part to admit and to look back at the version of you who was so lost and so confused and they just did not know what they were doing. And you just have to have that compassion for yourself to be like, wow, you really were so lost and you were in so much pain, but you did not know what to do with it. So instead, you used these habits to cope and to survive. And after that, I worked in Dubai. And that is where I wouldn't say I was addicted to alcohol, but I used alcohol in literally every sense to calm my nerves and to not be anxious. You get into the habit of, just me personally, but I also saw a lot of crew doing this, where you would come back from a flight, it would be random times, and you would want to just relax and calm down, and you would start drinking in all these weird times of the day. But how I used it was before I went out to a party or whatever, a bar, a restaurant, I would feel so anxious to even leave my house. It's the weirdest thing because I'm over here on Instagram posting pictures and my outfit, but I literally can't go outside my house without, drinking some amount of alcohol. And it just blows me away that that's how I lived so many years of my life. I couldn't just be with myself. I struggled to be with myself. Like, if this is something that you went through or you experienced, let me know down in the comments, because I know it's not just me that has been through this. I know a lot of us experience this numbing of the self, of the pain. And Buddha said that attachment is the root of suffering. Anything that you attach yourself to, a person, a habit, whatever it is, it's going to be the cause of your suffering in your life. And also another quote that I found, which I never heard before, from craving arises sorrow. From craving arises fear. And why I really wanted to make this video is because a lot of us have ways that we cope with life. It doesn't always have to do with alcohol or drugs or sex or porn or whatever. It could be the news, watching the news, drama, loving drama. Like you cannot survive without watching something that has to do with arguing and fighting, and you just love being wrapped up in all of that, whether it's in your life or just watching somebody else's experience. Shopping, there's a million other addictions. And what I did not know is that when you stop one addiction, let's say you're addicted to drugs and you stop drugs, you might end up choosing to drink because you're thinking, well, drinking is not that bad. If I just drink 2 beers per day and then a bottle of wine and then the end of the week, it's just people drink. Everyone drinks. It's totally normal and it's casual, and I'm just drinking by myself, like I'm just watching a show, and you justify this to yourself. And I did myself for a very long time. But in reality, when you remove one addiction, what happens is that what your mind does is it grabs another because the discomfort is still there. The root of the pain is still within you. After I had my daughter, I hate admitting this, but I would get super anxious around 5 p.m. because the whole day you're trying to just keep it all together. But the 5 p.m. till the nighttime, it's tough as a parent. If you're a parent, you know what the hell I'm talking about. It's not just my daughter, it's just kids in general. It's the reparenting of thyself as you're getting triggered. It's the whole process of being a parent. But 5 p.m., that is when I'm like, okay, I need to have a glass of wine. I need to calm myself down. And I had to become aware of what I'm doing to myself. Okay. And again, this wasn't an addiction. I wasn't addicted to alcohol, but I found it hard to not drink at night. So I don't know what you would call that. You tell me. And so every night I would have literally a bottle of wine. And I was like, I'm drinking by myself. And one thing that you also need to, again, this is something that you learn and you experience when you become a parent. It's hard to realize this or understand how I felt in that moment if you have never experienced being a parent. When you become a parent or when you have a child, your entire life, your priorities change. At least for me. Maybe other people have it differently because maybe they have family around them or they have more support, or I don't know. But for me, I didn't have that. And so it was kind of like all up to me. And that was tough. I found that very difficult. Being a parent, I realized I didn't have the time to go out and socialize and connect with people. And I didn't go out to concerts. I didn't do a lot of things for myself. And so for me, in my mind, the way that I justify this was, I'm not going out or I'm not going out for movies and I'm not doing anything for myself. So for me, this is my party. 5 p.m., I have a glass of wine. This is my party. And a lot of the times, and I actually saw somebody who went through this, they were speaking about kind of my same experience, but they were obviously, it was much deeper than that. They would be drinking in the morning and the afternoon and the night, and it was a lot more than this. But I still want to mention this because sometimes we like to lie to ourselves and pretend that what we're doing is not harming ourselves and we are not getting deeper and deeper into the soup. We like to pretend, no, this is just, it's fine. And I'm just having fun watching a show and you know, and I get it. Sometimes some people can handle a glass of wine, right? But what I was doing was that I was drinking to not feel anxious. I was drinking because I did not want to feel out of control, because that is sometimes what I feel when I'm parenting my daughter. I feel out of control because when I was a child, I wanted to constantly, because my parents would be fighting, I would constantly want to calm down. Everybody calm down. Everybody be happy. I want to fix your life so you can be more happier. And so what did I feel as a child? I felt out of control. So whenever I see anybody now as an adult, obviously I've done work on myself. But what I realize in that moment is whenever I see somebody who's out of control and they're spinning, and when you have a child, a toddler especially, they're constantly out of control. Because the beauty of having a child is recognizing that you can never be, I mean, unless you're a dictator and you're using abusive ways of controlling your child, you can never control a child. They're always in the moment. There's nothing you can do to fix them. Sometimes you just have to sit with them and just be present in the moment. Like they're having a hard time. Okay, I'm here with you. And sitting with them in that pain. How many of you guys have had your parents sit with you in your discomfort? And I know a lot of us might not remember our childhood. You might have blocked a lot of it like I did. But how many of us remember, even as a teenager, that your parent sat with you when you were crying? And I know some of us are lucky. I mean, not us, but some of you guys might be lucky that you have that. But I'm just talking about people that we're not lucky to have that. When you're going through an ugly cry, ugly emotion, anger, rage, and your parent just sits with you and says, I'm here for you. You can feel whatever you want to feel, and I'm going to sit right next to you, and I love you, and you're safe. not a lot of us can say that. And if you had a parent like that, put it down below, because I really want to know if any of you guys have had, because you're blessed to have that experience, because not a lot of us have had that. Back to what I was feeling. So I recognize that when my daughter is having a big emotion, it makes me feel like I'm out of control. It makes me feel like I can't fix this. It brings up so many different emotions for me. And only once I recognize, and again, this has to do a lot with me reading the book, The Conscious Parenting by Shefali. I forgot her last name, but that book is such a game changer. And I would recommend everybody to read it and just listen to her. And I know I'm talking about parenting, but you can use this in a lot of different situations and scenarios. We see the external and we're trying to fix them so that we feel good about ourselves. But in reality, what we need to do, and what is the hardest thing to do, is to look at your experience. Why are you perceiving this to be a lion chasing you? Why is this causing you so much anxiety that you cannot control a 4-year-old child? Because in reality, nobody can control a 4-year-old child. They are themselves at all times. They are unapologetically themselves. All your job is in that moment as a parent is to be with them in this roller coaster and guide them through it. That is literally sometimes what I feel our guides, our spirit guides are doing. They're guiding us through this roller coaster of life. And so you have to be that same sort of guide, not only for your child, but for yourself. And every time that you escape yourself, you really are just moving further away from who God created you to be. So if I look back at myself a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have been able to sit here and have this conversation. And I wouldn't be able to be real with you guys about what I just mentioned about my perception, how I was perceiving my experience and what I had to do in order to change that. Now, as I mentioned before, I think a couple of times now, that I'm somebody where I go 0 to 100 real quick. Like, I don't do anything gradually. I just go to the last step quickly. And that's just how I have been for a very long time. Now, I just don't want this video to be, this is what you do. And I just, I want these videos to truly give you some sort of value and something you can take out of it in your daily life. So I actually made some notes. My biggest takeaway, by the way, before I get into this, is that whenever let's say you're coming back home from work and you have just a lot of burdens on you and you're just feeling emotional and maybe angry or upset or whatever it is, or anxious. And so the first thing you do is you sit on your couch and you're on your phone, right? Phone, look at all my likes and views and whatever. And then you look at the clock and by the time you know it, it's been 2 hours and what have you done for 2 hours? You're just on your phone. And I've done this. That's why I can talk so confidently, because I know a lot of us do this. So let's just say that this is an example. Okay. So you come home and you're stressed and the first thing you do is you're on your phone or you're watching Netflix. It doesn't matter. Right. So the next time that you find yourself in this predicament, I want you to first catch it. A lot of these addictions, at least from my experience, if you go straight away to fix it and to heal it, oh my God, I have an addiction, I have to heal myself now, and you're just getting even more stressed out about it, that is when that addiction is going to get worse, just from my experience. So for me, what I have learned worked for me and the people that I've coached as well is first you need to bring awareness to your habit. So get clear on what that is. Okay. So let's just say again, come home, you're on your phone scrolling, you catch it. And sometimes that voice wants you to ignore it, right? And a little point that I want to make as well is that a lot of us have addictions, but we don't truly care about fixing it or even being aware of it. Like a lot of people might say, but why? I'm just on my phone and it doesn't matter. And these addictions, it only matters for you to work on it when it is costing you something, whether it's costing you money, whether it's costing you your relationship. There has to be a cost for you to pay. Only then you're going to be on watching this video, or you're not. My point being that you might not even care to do this, but again, if you're really into doing this inner work on yourself and you want to go dive deep within, then I definitely would recommend this. So you're going to catch it. As you catch it, you're going to pause. This is where that maturity comes, because one thing that you can differentiate between people that are younger and people that are older is that people that are younger, they don't think before they act. They just do. They just react without thinking. And I've done this for a lot of times. And so the one thing that differentiates from someone who's immature to someone who is mature is the pause. It's all in the pause. And I know it's so simple. You might think like, that's so simple. Okay, just hold on for a sec. So you're going to pause. Then you're going to breathe. It could literally just be like 2 or 3 breaths. And you don't have to go into like a meditation. Just take a deep breath. And that breath, for me at least, it's meant to just get you in the present moment. When you breathe, you're going to notice, just take a breath right now, and you're going to notice, like it's like as if time stops when you take a breath. And then lastly, what I want you to do, and again, this is not for you to fix this right now. This is just awareness. And you're going to ask yourself, what am I trying to not feel right now? What is it in this moment that I'm trying to escape? That's going to be a tough question for most of us if you have never thought about this before or done any sort of inner work. It's going to be tough to think about this, but the answer sometimes, it might take you a couple times for you to get that answer, but be consistent with it. So for example, one of the things you might try to not be feeling in that moment is rejection, out of control, loneliness, a plethora of different things that you're trying to escape from. Now, if you're unable to figure out what this feeling is that you're trying to run away from, another question or something else you can think about is, what sensation am I not trying to feel right now? So I know for me, whenever I get anxious, my hands don't get sweaty. My heart doesn't palpitate. Palpitate? Is that even please? Oh my God. My heart doesn't beat faster. I'm going to figure out how to say that word. But my chest tightens. That's how I feel my anxiety. When I feel it in my chest. And also I forgot my gut, my stomach, my gut, it gets tight. That's how I know I'm feeling anxious. Now, for everybody else, it's different. So figure out the sensations in your body. That is why the pause and the breath is so important. That is when you're really just trying to just shut everything off and just feel. Now, let's say your answer is, I don't want to feel rejection. That's all I want you to get to. You just need to get clarity on what that thing is. And then I don't want you to fix it. This is very important. I don't need you to fix it. You don't need to fix it. You just need to see it. Just witness what you're trying to not feel. That's all we need to get to. Okay? Because sometimes I feel like we have, you listen to this 12-step thing and it's like too many steps and you're like, it's too much work. And so I want to do something where we can figure these things out without having too many steps. So it's so simple. Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what am I trying to not feel right now? You get your answer. Now, this is something where it can get a little bit deeper if you like it to. So if you want to stop right here, you can stop. I would recommend to do this extra step and challenge yourself a little bit more. And by the way, this is something that I started doing in 2023 when I went through my entire my experience of the dark night of the soul, and my whole identity just crumbled right in front of me. And so one of the things I started doing was I started speaking to my inner child. So what I want you to do in this moment is I want you to close your eyes and I want you to visualize the 5-year-old version of you. When you're feeling out of control, I want you to sit beside that 5-year-old boy or girl, and I want you to sit close to them. I want you to put your hand around them, and I want you to give them a nice cuddle, nice hug, and then I want you to look at them, and I want you to say this: I know you're feeling rejected. I know you're feeling hurt, and I'm sorry that you're feeling this way. But I want you to know that I got you, and you're not alone in this. I promise you that I will never abandon you ever again. I know a lot of people in your life have abandoned you and rejected you and not been able to see you. But I want you to know that I see you and I love you and I accept you just the way that you are and that you're safe. Now, again, you don't need to say all the things that I just did. This is just an example of what I would say to my inner child if I was going through that. And I had to do this work and I still do this work. When I hear my inner child crying, yelling, just please see me, look at me, and I just ignore it, that is when my anxiety gets I get even more anxious. So again, this is just something for you to try out. All you're doing with your inner child in that moment is just seeing their pain and not letting them be by themselves. But what a lot of us do is we just allow our 5-year-old selves to just be in the darkness by themselves. And we're not there to truly give them love and accept them. And the harsh part about this is, yes, you have to reparent yourself and you have to stop blaming your parents because they just did the best they could. They themselves are struggling. And I'm not saying to accept behavior that is abusive. I'm just saying to forget that narrative and begin to reparent yourself. Whenever things come up, talk to yourself how you would have wished your mother or father would have spoken to you. Talk to yourself like that. There's no right or wrong. What I just said is what I would have said to my little child, to my 5-year-old self. I hope that this helped you. If it did, please put it down below. If you are going to give it a shot, I would really love to know if you're going to try it out and if it actually works. If it doesn't work, come back to me. Talk to me about it. I would love to have a conversation about it on my Instagram. You can send me a message there. And that's it. I'm going to end the video here. I just want you to know that you are better than this. You are better than your addiction. And you're here to do something great in the world. You're here in the wildest time in history, and there's a reason for your soul to be here. I love you, and I'll see you guys in my next one.